Hello, this is Confessions of a Homeschool Mom. It has been approximately 24 hours since my last confession. No, really, today I'm going to tell you why you're not a weirdo if you hop from different curriculum to different curriculum. My name is Stacy and I've been homeschooling for almost 10 years and I am not married to any curriculum. And for a long time, that made me feel really weird because I'd see other people and I'd compare myself to them. Obviously, we know that's a really stupid thing to do. And I would see how they would find one thing and they would stick with that forever. And that's great. If you find the thing that works for you and you want to marry that for the entire length of your homeschool curriculum, that's fine. But I was different. I found that even from year to year, I wanted to change up what I was doing. So for the first few years, I was really green. I wanted to make sure that I was actually not failing my children and they weren't going to grow up and be stupid. And oh, come on, you know you felt that too, okay? If you're a homeschooler, you know you felt that too. And so I bought boxed curriculum. I actually used My Father's World. I loved My Father's World. We used it, I think, for 3 years. And I would just buy it. It would all come to me in this nice, beautiful box. And I loved it. And then we got farther along in the curriculum and there was a little bit too many arts and crafts for me. I don't like arts and crafts. I don't want to fashion a wigwam out of toothpicks. I don't want to go out in the yard and get a bunch of rocks and then come inside and construct a catapult. I just don't like doing that. That's not my personality. And so even though I loved My Father's World, it is a solid curriculum, I moved to something else. And then the next year, I moved to something else. And through the years, almost 10 years, I've found that almost every year I use something different. And it doesn't mean that I don't like the curriculum that I used before. I actually love almost everything that I've used. There are a few exceptions there, but we've loved everything so far that we've used. So it seems a little weird that I wouldn't keep using over and over the same thing, right? Not necessarily. I get bored very easily. So even if I'm doing something that I like, I want to try something else because I want to see if it's fun too. It is not unusual for me to do this in all areas of my life. If you did not watch my daily routine video, I'll link that below. But actually, I hop around and use different daily routines based on our season of life and what we need to do. And I'm kind of the same with our curriculum. So I don't want you to feel like if you start a curriculum that you have to use it forever. Girlfriend, you don't even have to use it the rest of the year. You don't even have to use it the rest of the day. If you buy a curriculum and you absolutely hate it, usually you can get a refund from that company. But if you can't, then sometimes it happens. I have done that a couple times, usually with math curriculum, where we get something, we don't like it, it's not working for us. Instead of spending time in utter misery for the rest of the year, stop what you're doing and find something else. The definition of insanity, which some people, Snopes says maybe it's not, but I've heard that the definition of insanity is to try something over and over and expect different results, except you're just doing the same thing. You're going to go crazy. If you try curriculum and it does not work for you or your kids, or it's boring, or you hate it, or it's not complete and wasn't what you were looking for, it's okay to unmarry that curriculum, step away and try something else. Not only am I easily bored, but I also like to keep things hip, fresh, and new. Actually, no, not really. That's not me at all. But it was important for me to make sure that my kids could learn different ways. So I wanted to know that they could learn using an online curriculum. I wanted to know that they could read through a book, read the instructions, and learn how to do it themselves. I wanted to know that they could read a science book, come to me with questions if they had it, look things up on the internet that they were confused about, and actually proceed. But if I had stuck in a single curriculum for them and a single method of learning through the entire time, I wouldn't have known that they could learn in different ways. Just like as adults, based on a job we have or a situation that we get in, we may have to learn different ways. Then we need to make sure that our kids can do the same thing. Now, I do understand that there are some kids and some adults who can only learn one way. And if that is you, this video is not for you. This video is for those of us who feel a little bit weird because we like to change it up. We like to try different things and read new books and try different programs. And I just want you to know that there's nothing wrong with that. You are the boss of your own home. You are the boss of your own homeschooler. You are the teacher, you are the principal. And if you want to change things up, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We have used box curriculum, we have used book curriculum, we have used online curriculum, we have gone to classes, we have used it all. I've had my kids take classes from neighbors, I've let them do things online, I've sat at the table and taught them, and we have just tried different methods. Now, I do know my kids pretty well and I know how they learn best, but because I have chosen, and my husband has chosen this method for our homeschool, our kids have become very independent learners. They don't necessarily need me for everything to be able to learn. They can decide what it is they want to learn and jump in and do it. That doesn't mean that they don't come to me for help, because they do, and it doesn't mean that I don't want to help them. It's just, it was really important to us to make sure that they would be able to learn what they needed to learn, even if I wasn't there. And so I'm going to give you guys in this video a look in the different clips of the things that we're using this year. And guess what? I probably won't use it next year. Oh, I know that's crazy. I'm already looking at what we can do differently next year for school, because I'm thinking that I want to start my high schooler maybe on a lot of different online classes. And so I'm going to switch things up again. I did use this particular homeschool daily planner this year for our school so that I could write down and remember what I needed the kids to do. So I could write down daily the tasks that I wanted for them to have, and then I could keep track of the books that we were reading, and this has worked really well. I do not think that they print this anymore, the Homeschool Daily Planner, but I am almost certain that we found this on eBay. One thing that has stayed consistent for us, even though it varies with each week what we're reading, is we have been huge readers. And so I start my kids out reading the small books on their own, then they move up to reading the books that I assign them. These are not the only books that they read. They also will go to the library and pick out books of their interest and read on their own, usually at night before they go to bed. But this is probably, if I had to pick one thing I am consistent about with homeschool, it is we do most of our learning via reading. This year I was able to use a lot of the things the kids were using for their extracurricular activities as part of their school. So we did a lot of extra stuff with Awana for the younger kids, and then for American Heritage Girls and Trail Life, we were able to use the ability for them to earn patches as part of things that we would learn and do for school. Handwriting is really important to me, and so I really have a focus on that. We write scripture, we write lots of other things. Handwriting Without Tears is probably my favorite curriculum, but then as you can see, I found this copywork cursive book for Annie that she was able to actually draw in, which is a big deal for her because she's an artist. So I just look around for good, solid, scripture-based, usually if I can find them, copywork books. And here's a really great example. I love Explode the Code. I've used it for Annie and Andy, but when I got down to Eli, he actually hates this curriculum. He does not like it at all. And so for Eli, after he finished this book, I knew that we weren't going to keep going with this, even though it's a solid program. We did a lot more bookwork than normal this year, but it actually worked out really well for us. I used Horizons boxed curriculum for Ruthie. She really liked it. She's in the first grade. And so I worked through this with her, but most of it, once I taught her what to do, she was able to do on her own. And the other kids just used stuff that I pieced together myself. For 2nd, 4th, and 8th grade, we all used the same English curriculum on the right grade level. We used and enjoyed ACE English. This year we worked on a gentleman book for the boys, and we worked on a home economics book for Ruth Ann. These are from Parables, and I bought them on eBay. 8th grade science, we used Apologia. It is probably my favorite science curriculum. We used The American Story as a family for history, and it was really great. And for kicks and giggles, we decided to do a little class on manners all together. It was fun. For math this year, we used Matthew C. for the 3 older kids. It was actually just okay for us. It has not been my favorite. So this was my confession. Confession of a homeschool curriculum hopper. Don't marry your curriculum. If you do, that's fine. But if you don't and you're like me and you feel weird no longer. Your confession is over.